making sure that we get as much as possible in this training. I am grateful for the opportunity, and I'm grateful for everyone who has been in this training till this present time. Of course, today is our last day, so we just want to look at a few concepts and would put it to a stop. Of course, we know that learning does not stop. Learning is an ongoing process, right? So we want to be able to get to that level where we are really solid and then we're confident in our skills, right? One thing that affects people is confidence. If you are confident in the usage of your skill, you will not be scared to approach any opportunity, right? And how do we get this confidence? We practice. I've always told us that practice is very important in this field, right? Might have attended a class and done the assignment, right? But it goes beyond this class, right? Our guest speaker from last class also mentioned that, or from last week mentioned that, right? You have to be able to tackle these issues and tackle them by yourselves, right? So, which is why we're going to be doing capstone projects. We know that already. I was supposed to send a capstone project, but I'm still trying to word it and generate all the proper probable questions for one of them, right? So that's why I've not sent it, but I should be done after class so that you can get it. So I hope we all enjoyed the journey so far, right? And I know that this journey is just the beginning. And I know that at the end of this journey, and at the end of it all, we're going to be better for it, for the skills that we have learned, and to be able to harness these skills in opportunities that present themselves, or when opportunities present themselves to us. So welcome. And yes, I can gladly say that we are analysts or data analysts already. I mentioned yesterday that one of the things that is required for us to do, or that I would suggest and advise that we do, is get a certification, right? It's one thing to know these things, it's another thing to be able to is to be ready for opportunities. And one of the ways to be ready for opportunities is to write certifications, right? I do not want to stress us. There are certifications for SQL as well, but Power BI just does it, right? Power BI certification does it. So if you are ready, if you're interested in writing that certification, please do reach out to me. It's very important so that I can give you the full details about it and get you ready for it, right? So today we want to look at visualization. Yesterday we were able to even though we could not finish, right? Because there's still a few other components to DAX that we've not been able to touch, but we were able to bring data analysis expression to a reasonable point, right? Using DAX tools to perform to create new columns, which is calculated columns and measures, right? I'm sure that by now we should at least be very familiar with data analysis expressions and all that, right? Today, we want to look at visualizations. What I would do is that I would share those materials, like I mentioned yesterday, after the training, I'll share materials with us that we can use to further deepen our knowledge in these things, right? I'll share such materials with you so that you can have something to go through and to consume. So please look out for such materials, right? It's very, very important. Having said that, today we want to put it as close by understanding visualizations. If you want to be able to write this report, at the end of the day, these reports are meant to be used for visualizations. You want to be able to tell a story about these reports that you're creating, right? The data in itself, remember, I've always told us that data is beautiful, but data is beautiful when it is visualized, when it is in pictorial form, right? The best way to present data is in its pictorial form, in the graphical form, right? And that's because it leaves a lasting impression in the mind of whoever is consuming such reports. So that is why we use data visualization. So that is why visualizing the data is very important. So today we want to see a bit of analysis, right, of how to do data visualization, right? I want to be able to look at how to do data visualization. I hope that what I've done is that I mentioned yesterday that I was going to share a full report with us, right, on this data that we have. I sent it to the WhatsApp group, so you can download it and put it on your system and follow through, right? It contains everything that you need to know actually about what we have done so far in this program. It contains both the model, the data preparation, the model, the calculated columns and measures, and also the visuals, right? So you have them, but we'll just look at a bit of these visuals today and how to do them. Of course, let me know if you are following me. Let me know if you're following me. I hope you can hear me. Please let me know if you are following me.
We are following you, sir.
Yes, we are.
Yes, ma'am. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So if you look at our data, let me show us, right? So far we know we've been working with about eight different queries. Oh, yes, about 8 different queries. We've been working about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 8 different queries. We're working with about 8 different queries, and we're familiar with the data already. A whole lot of us have been working with the data already, right? So we're familiar with the data already, and today we just want to visualize the data. So how do we visualize data in Power BI? Right? That is, this basically is the part that most people want to learn, right? How to visualize data. So in fact, you see a lot of people just jump right into visualizations. And most of the time, if you skip all the parts that we have gone through, the data modeling, the data preparation parts, the data modeling parts, right? You would not get a good report, right? To visualize, you will not get a good data to visualize. So as much as the visualization part is interesting and beautiful, right, it is the icing on the cake, right? So we go to the report view, which I am at the moment, right? This is where you build your visuals, right? There are 2 ways to bring in your visuals into Power BI, right? You can either use these visualizations, right? You can see the build visuals, right? These are several types of charts and graphs that we can use to build visuals, right? You can either use any one of these, or you can come to your home, right? From your insert, from same thing from home, you can insert visuals, right? You can insert more visuals, right? Or you can come to insert, and you can also insert visuals from here as well. Are you following me? Right. I hope that this is the same Power BI that everybody has, right? I hope nobody's using the old version. There's a later version that some people have. I hope we all have this version, right? But whichever version you have, it's still the same thing. You just need to be able to locate what you're looking for, right? So, right off the bat, right, let's look at a bit of analysis here, right? So I'm going to go back to yesterday and all through the visualization part. We've been using the matrix view. Can you remember the matrix view? Right, I'm going to click on the matrix view, right? And of course, we know that the matrix view is that view that allows us to view our data in a tabular form. So I take, for example, if I want to see total orders, right? I drag the total orders to values, right? It tells me that is our total orders. Coming. All right, so total orders, right, is that value, and we can break these total orders based on what? Based on product category, right? So if I drag category name to values, right, into rows, right, you can see what we have in that situation, right? So basically, right, hold on, sorry. Yes, so all right, so this is our total orders. I hope you can see. Please let me zoom this out so that you can see. All right, so these are visualization, but we want to be able to have this sort of data, this sort of analysis. Right, I want to be able to visualize this sort of analysis. So that's basically what this part of the program is about, right? So how do we do that? I'm going to remove this. If you want to remove a visual, right, you just click on these three dots here, these three dots, and you say remove. Can you see? Click on the three dots, and you
Sir?
and you remove. Yes.
Sir, please, can you zoom it more so that we can see it?
Is it good now? Is it good now?
Yes.
All right. So if you want to remove a visual, you can remove a visual from here. You can spotlight a visual. If you spotlight a visual, right, the visual becomes your main object to view, right? Let me remove that. You can export the data that is generated by a visual, right? And you can show as table, right? Can you see? Show as table, right? So all of this we can do with visuals, right? So let's go back to the report view. All right, so I'm going to remove this visual. And I want you to work with me. Just follow me as I proceed, right? Just follow me. Right, so I want to build a visual, right, that says that generate, I want to see our total, like I just saw earlier, right? I want to see our total orders. Okay, let's start with total orders since we started talking about total orders. Let's talk about total orders based on product name, right? Total orders. These are total orders, right? Let me zoom out so that you can see. Total orders is 25,164. But want to what? I want to see this based on what? Based on the product name, right? So what do? I come to product name, to product lookup table, and I click on product name. Can you see? Drag the product name towards to rows. This basically is the same thing that we do in what's it called in pivot table. Can you remember pivot table in Excel? It's exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing, right? Now that I have this sort of analysis, right? Now that I have this sort of analysis, how do I visualize it? Remember that your analysis, when you are visualizing, you have to be able to consider if it is a categorical analysis or a quantitative analysis. Is it a categorical analysis or a quantitative analysis? We know the meaning of this by now. Categorical meaning that these values are categorical, they are descriptive in nature, and numerical or quantitative analysis means that what they are values that can be measured, right? That also informs the kind of chart that we use, right? So in this situation, right, if I want to visualize this data, I would probably use a stack bar. Can you see? Right? If I use this kind of bar, try now. Hold on. In learning this kind of things, you have to be able to try and error until you get the right. So there is no other and fast route to it. That's basically what I'm trying to drive at, right? But if you look at it, right, you have to be able to see if that presentation that you have, or if the visual you have is the right visual for your data or not. If you look at this kind of visual, which is the stack column chart, the second option here, you see that it is not giving us exactly what we need, right? So let me use this stack column chart here. Awesome. Right? Let me extract. Hold on, just hold on. All right, let me drag this down a little bit. So you see that we have multiple products here. Now, if you look at it, because of these multiple products, right, this is too long as well. So I'm going to change my from product name. Let me go to product category or product subcategory, sorry. Aha, right? Can you see? Product subcategory gives me exactly what I wanted, right? So I can see my, are you following me, please? I can see, I hope everybody can see. I want to be able to show you exactly as we build our dashboard, right? I can see all my product categories in a single glance, right? And this tells me that what tires and tubes are what are the most what are the subcategory that generated the highest number of order, 9,084. 9,084 orders were generated by that what by that what's it called now? At subcategory. So you can see the subcategories here, right? Now, having said that, we can, while building your visuals, you can format your visuals, right? You can format your visuals. Formatting your visuals are done, if you look at it, we have 2 panes here, right? You have 2 panes. Sometimes it's 3 because we have a third option, which is the analytics, right? But for this visual that we have, the analytics does not show for. So we have the build visual, and you have the format page. Build visuals and the format page, right? So on the format page now, I can begin to work with this visual. I can begin to format this visual as we go, right? I can begin to format this visual as we go. I can work on it. I can make some adjustments and so on and so forth as we proceed. But let's build visuals. Like, let's just build visuals as we proceed, and so on and so forth, all right? So these I'm going to put somewhere here. My page is trying to build, I'm trying to show that, I'm trying to make sure that you can see my page all at once. Seems too small. All right. All right, so that is what? That is our what? Product category. That's total order by product category. Total order by product category, right? If I come to my format visuals, right, you can see the visuals, you can see general, right? So here we can work on several things about this plot. I can shut off the y-axis. Can you see the y-axis is gone by just toggling this switch here, right? The y-axis is back. I can toggle back I can remove this x-axis as well, right? Let me show you so that you can see what I'm talking about, right? Can you see the values of the x-axis? Right, I can toggle them off, right? I can increase the grid lines if they are needed. We can work on grid lines as well, right? We can build on the bars. I can change the color of the bars to a color that suits me more, right? Can you see? Right, to any color that suits my fancy. All right, so we can change the colors as you want as well, right? You can adjust spacing, right? You can adjust spacings of the colors. Then you can turn on data label, right? You can turn on the data label, right? Can you see that the data, each of their corresponding values are labeled on them now, right? We can turn on data label. We can adjust the position of the labels, right? Maybe inside, right? Let's put it inside. Can you see, right? You can put a background across the labels. Can you see? Or you can just put it outside, right? Can you see? So whichever one suits your fancy, right? Let's just put it inside and leave it that way. Are you following? So this is a visual, right? This is a visual. This is a visual. This is a visual, right? What we have done here is awesome, right? We've been able to build a really good visual for this analysis. So we're going to just leave one more thing to do, right? The title, let's work on the title. The title is not visible enough, right? So let's work on the title. So we'll come to general, right? You can switch off the title if you don't want the title by what? By using the toggle, the title toggle there. So, but I want the title, so I'm going to switch it on, right? You can adjust the text of the title here. Can you see? So I can say, I'm going to leave the text that way, right? And I'm going to say that I want to change the text color to black, right? I want to make it bold, and I want to give it a background. I'll give it a hash background, right? And I'm going to adjust, center it to the middle, align it to the middle. All right, so let's increase the size a little bit so that it's more evident, right? So you can see what we have done. We've built the visual, and I think this is pretty cool, right? Please let me know if you are following me. So this tells us about a particular analysis that we've just done, right? This is a full analysis that we have just done. Can you see? Right? Can you see? So from here, we can see that this is analysis is about what? It's about the total orders by what? By subcategory. And we can see that by default, it's arranged them in in descending order. Are we good? Let me know if you are good. Let me know if I'm too fast. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. No. I need responses, please. Let's respond.
We are good. We are
good,
good,
sir.
sir. We are following.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. All right. Now, I want to create a similar visual again. But this visual this time around, right? I can just copy this visual, copy it, Control C, and you Control paste it, right? Can you see? I just made a copy of that visual. But this time around, I want to make sure that I have product category name, category name in the analysis. Sorry, category before subcategory. Is the subcategory name. All right. So if you look at this now, what do you see? Right. Now this is now total. Can you see that the headings have changed? Total by what? By category name, right? And we have 3 categories. We have the what? Same format, same design, right? We have 3 categories. We have the accessories, we have the bikes, we have clothing, right? But if you look at my analysis here, you see that I have category and subcategory. And if you remember the drill downs, when you have a stack of fields on top of each other like this, it is going to allow you to be able to do what we call drill downs, right? So I can drill down to, can you see? Can you see on this single chart now? I can drill down, I can drill back up, and I can drill down like this to see the components of each of my categories and subcategories, right? So you can see the drill downs there. So I'm just going to keep this analysis this way. It's perfect, right? Let's keep it this way. Let me align them together this way. Awesome. All right. So if you look at it, if I click on one, can you see now? There's something we call the interactiveness of your analysis, right? Power BI. If you remember, for those who did Excel with me, right? You remember that when we're doing pivot table, we created several charts and we're able to link them up with report connection, right? Link all your charts together so that once you are doing what we call a filter, once you are filtering on a particular tile, it affects the other tiles, right? But in Power BI, this is done by default, right? Once you have your a report on the page, right? You can filter, right? The filter context is very, very important here. You can look at it. Can you see this side? This is where we perform filtering, right? Filter can be done on 3 levels, right? You can filter on a particular visual, you can filter on a page, and you can filter on the whole page, right? Filters on all pages, filter on a page, filter on a particular visual, right? So usually we just leave it at filter on a particular visual, right? I mean, filter so that each filter, each chart can affect each other, right? But there are some times that you want to filter on a particular page, then you take control of that, right? But if you look at it, as I click on any of the tiles, right, it gives me more information about them. Then you see that there's a call out. Can you see that call out? That's black call out where you have text, category, accessory, order, total orders, right? That is controlled by the data to the tooltips here. Tooltips here, right? That is controlled by the tooltips here. So if I want to add more information there, right, I can, if you look at it from here, we have just two informations, the category name and the total order, right? But I can come back here to my analysis and drop total profit, right, in the tooltips, right? If I add total profit to the tooltips, right, what you see that it has profits. Each of the, even though the total profit is not showing on the data, it is showing in the tooltips, right? All I just need to do is go to my, that's affected my title. So I just go to my title to adjust my title. I don't want the tooltips. I don't want that profit showing there. All right. So, but if I put my call out here, can you see? So if anything I want to see on the call out, right? I just need to I just come to the tooltips to add to add it on the tooltips, right? So tooltips is very important, right? You can add as much components there as possible, right? You can add as much components from your data there as possible, right? So let's just leave it that way, right? So we built our second visual, right? You see, we're stacking them on top of each other gradually, right? So what have we done? We've been able to create two analyses, right? We created an analysis by by category, and we created another analysis by by subcategory. Are you following me? Right. The next analysis we want to create, right? The next visual we want to create is that we want to use the matrix itself now. We want to use the matrix itself to tell us more about the data, right? We want to use the matrix itself now. So I'm going to click on the matrix, right? I'm going to click on the matrix. Let me bring it here, right? And this time around, I want to see an analysis of the products. Let's see, total order from sales. Can you see all of these are measures now that we created, right? So I see total order. All right, can you see? I want you to pay attention to this, right? Let me see if I can zoom it out. Right? Can you see that it already affects that star that I brought in here? Can you see? Once I click on any part, it's affecting it already. Can you see? It's affecting it already. And if I clear out, click outside of, right? The filter, everything is back to normal. Can you see? So that is what we call filter context, right? The filter context also affects your data here, right? So I want to see the total, right? Let me build this up so that you can see it. Total order, right? And we want to see total order by what? By return rate. We want to see total order. We want to see return rate. Return rate, remember we calculated return rate yesterday. Return rate is the what? Is the total quantity returned over total quantity sold, right? We looked at that yesterday. If you didn't catch that, you need to watch the video from yesterday, right? So we talked about return rate is the total quantity sold, total quantity returned divided by the total, the quantity sold, right? So if we bring in return rate as well, all right, so total return rate is 2.7. So of all the 25,164 data that value that orders that we processed, right? 2.17 of them were what were returned, right? So how do we see this? Want to see this return based on what? Want to see it by what? By want to see a product name breakdown of it. Want to see a product name breakdown of this analysis. So we go to the product lookup table. Drag that to rows. Now, let's assume that I drag that to column. What do we have? Can you see? We have something like this. Can you see? It forms a column across. Can you see? Columns, 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 which is not the ideal way. All right, let me do a visual of that. All right. Can you see? So you have to be able to choose the right visual for it. Can you see? Total, that's, you have to be able to choose the right visuals. Basically, so much is going on, right? So the best way to look at this data is to what? Is to visualize it as a table, right? So I'm going to return the column, the product name back to rows so that we have a proper table. Yes. So now we have a proper matrix. Now we have a proper matrix. Let me zoom in so that we can see. I want to do a bit of analysis on this as well.
Mr. Ashim,
Yes, ma.
please, how do you change it to proper table when you've created the visualization?
You click on matrix. Can you see the matrix?
Okay.
Can you see? Yes.
Yes.
You use the matrix. So the way I build my visuals most of the time, that I build my visuals from matrix, right? I get the matrix of the data that I want to build. Then I now look at the proper the proper chart or graph that would help me represent that accurately. That's how I build my analysis, or that's how I build my visuals. Right. So here we have a breakdown of the products by what? Total orders and return rates. I hope we can see it. So we can see all of them as we go down to the last to the last value itself. Right? So you see to the last value there. Can I continue? All right. I want to do a bit of analysis on these data. So I'm going to click on this metric, on this.
Sorry, please, Mr. Sheo.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You know, we are following you, but it will be because we haven't done visualization. We don't know how to do it actually. Well, most of I don't. So maybe if you can also tell us, you know, the way you sometimes tell us, oh, you are in the formula bar or something, you are writing the column, and it is now we name that column return rate and so on. So if we, so that we can follow, we can do this by ourselves. Because if we don't doing it step by step like that, I think that's what Elijah, I was feeling the same way. Please, so thank you.
All right. So basically, right, if you look at it, that's why I sent us the visual that I have, the old data, right? If you look at it, everything that I'm using presently are just fields from here. Most of it are measures that we created yesterday, right? Some of them, remember yesterday we were calculating total cost. Let me show you, right? If you look at the total cost, can you see total cost is some of these total revenue, we're doing total revenue, all of those kind of things are actually what we're using here.
Okay.
Are you following me? Yes. So it's like you're using the same way you build your reports from the same way you build your reports using Power Pivot. pivot table in Excel, right? The only thing here is that we have now created measures and calculated columns that we are using in the analysis, right? Every other thing still remains the same. Are you following me? So all of these are just values that we have created previous month. I said yesterday I was going to create some more, right? What I will do is I'll create some videos and I'll share these videos to you of how I created all of this. But most of these are actually in the question. The question that I gave you on Power BI, all of these measures are there. So the solution is of that assignment is on this measure here. Everything is here. Are you following me? Right? Everything is here. So I've just been able to answer business cases, right? By saying, take for example, what is the previous month's revenue, right? What is the previous month revenue? That is a measure that I created. What is the previous month order, right? What is the previous month order? Yesterday we generated bulk order, right? Calculate total. I was telling you about total order yesterday. Total order, right? And using the calculate function and using the filter context here, right? A where clause, basically. That's what we're doing there. So it is just, somebody just joined class now. Right, so it's just a follow-up on the things that we have done yesterday and we have done in previous classes. That's basically what we're doing. So we're just using, right, the reason why return rates and all of that are looking very different is because we've not been able to, we didn't create all of these measures in class, right? But I gave you as questions and I've given you the, what's it called now, the visual already, or the complete report, so you can actually look at the complete report and see how each of them were generated, right? Are you following me, ma? Look at all orders, yes, calculate all orders, calculate bulk orders, calculate high tickets. Basically, high ticket is just every order that is greater than the average value, right? Order targets, previous, how do you create a order target? All of these are just, they're just what measures that we created. Return, bike return of all bikes. You want to know how many bikes were returned. What is the all return? What is the return rate of everything? Every return that was done, quantity returned, total return, right? We want to be able to look at all of that. All of that are just measures, right? Actually, the measures basically are more on the return table and on the sales table because they are the facts values where we can really express our business cases. Every other table that we have are just what? They are just static table, which is basically lookup values, right? These tables only hold data, right? We can only do a bit of calculated columns on there, like parent, like full name, like what's it called? Customer priority. Yes, that's one of the questions that I gave to you yesterday, or in that question, right? Customer priority. You want to know who are your priority customers, and we say priority customers are customers that either what less than 50 and earn and above what an income that is above 100,000, then they are customer, they are priority customer. Else, every other person is what is a standard customer. So I showed you how to do that yesterday. I showed you how to generate current age as well, right? So all of these are just calculated columns and measures, basically, right? Just calculated column and measures. Elijah, talk to me. I see your hand being raised.
No, I've asked my question, sir.
Okay. Any other question before I proceed? Any other question? Right. So let me just continue. So what we have here is total order, right? The total order broken down by what? By product name, right? Broken down by what? By product name. And the return rate for each of the products, right? That's what we have, right? We can now do a bit of analysis. Remember in Excel, there's what we call the conditional formatting. How many of us remember conditional formatting in Excel? Right? You can do a conditional format on your data, right? I've taught us how to do conditional format, right? Just the same way we did conditional format in the data, we can do the same here, right? So if I come to the values, right? If I come to the values, don't worry. The essence is for you to be able to watch this video again and go over it again so that you can understand it better. You might not be able to get everything in class. I've already said that, right? But when we go over it again and again and again, you get it, right? So what you have, so if I come to my values, right, and you see a drop down arrow there, can you see on each of the values, right? On each of the column that forms my value, right? You see a drop down arrow, right? So if I take, for example, click on the drop down arrow for total orders, right? You can see conditional formatting, right? You can see conditional formatting. So we can use any of the conditional formatting, right, in this situation to analyze the data, right? Right. Say let's just say okay and see what shows up. All right. Can you see? Right? Can you see conditional formatting on the data? Right. Basically telling us that the strength of the data, where the strengths are red are terrible data and where the strengths are green are okay data, basically. But that's not the conditional formatting that I want to use, right? But there are several of them that we can use. All right, so let's try another one.
I can't see your screen. Okay, it's showing now.
All right. Right, you can use font colors, right? You can use font colors as well. Let me adjust. You can change your colors and say my lower color should be white, my upper color should be, okay, green is fine. Right, let's say okay. Right, can you see the font colors is not really giving me the vibe that I want, so I'm just going to remove that. I'm going to go back to my conditional format and say remove conditional format, so remove font colors. Right, so it would restore my data back to normal. Yes. Right, but for this data, what I want to use is a data bar, because now the reason why am I choosing data bar? My data bar basically is telling me that, or I'm seeing the total order as what? As volume of orders, right? I'm seeing it as volume of orders, such that you can have something like this. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. So let me just stick with okay, right? So I can see the strength. Can you see the strength of each of them? I can see the strength of each value, right? If I click on this, right, I've sorted the data by what? By strength. Please help me mute your mic, please. Right? Can you see? We can see their strength by what? We can see their volume by what? By the value strength. So if you look at it now, in terms of product name, water bottle 30 OZ is what? Is the highest item or the highest product ordered, right? We sold about 3,983 of it. And if you look at it in terms of return rate, right, the return rate of it is just 1.95, right? 1.95%. Can you see? So you can see down how the values have gone down and all that. Basically, this is also another visualization. What have I done on this visual? I created a matrix, and that matrix now, I added a what's it called? I added what's it called to it now? I added conditional formatting to it. Basically, nothing special. Nothing special. Are we there?
Yes, we're here.
What I want us to understand is just follow through, right? All of these concepts, I did not learn them in a day as well, right? It will take time. It will take time before some of these concepts would really crystallize, right? But what I want you to know is that you're learning already, right? You're learning. You just have to be able to go through the videos and the visuals one after the other and them again and again and again and again and again until they become second nature, right? That's basically how it is, right? So if you look at it, they are really nothing special, just using technology to analyze the data. Simple as that. Conditional formatting we're familiar with, right? Let's see another example of conditional formatting, another type of conditional formatting on the return rate, right? So I go to return rate, I click on the arrow beside it, and I go towards conditional formatting, right? This time around, let's use background color, right? I want to be able to show that some of the return rates are low and some of the return rates are high. I want to be able to make emphasis on the fact that if based on the values, right, show me the return rates that are what, that are moderate, and show me the return rates that are high. So I have my minimum value and I have my maximum value. I'm applying that on the return rate. I'm using the gradient, right? I'm using the gradient format style, right? And I'm using values only, right? But this time around, I want to change my color from, I want a gradient from white to red, right? So I'm saying white, then my maximum or the values that are in danger, that shows me danger, they should be in red, but I want to be able to show, not use very deep red, right? So I have this color. If you want to add a middle color to it, can you see? You can add a middle color, but I don't want a middle color. Better still, let's see middle color, right? And I say, okay, right? Let's see, it is loading up. Can you see? So you can see a trend across data, right? That tells us that this is a terrible what? This is a terrible return rate. Something is wrong about this product. For us to sell 51 of it and 11.76% of it has been returned. Right, that's pretty high, followed by this product, Mountain 500 Black 52. 41% of it, 41 items were sold, or 41 order was generated on it, and 77.32 of it were returned. So you can see from this, you can see another one, Touring 2000, blue, 46. Right, 96 of it was sold, 8.3% has been returned, right? But the yellow color is not giving me the exact analysis that I want, right? So I want to just use the white and red. So I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to go to my conditional formats, then background color. I'm going to remove that middle color. I'm going to say, okay. So let's see what it becomes, right? Can you see? So I can see that some of the errors or some of the returns are not really very astronomical as we saw it to be earlier, but still by strength of deepness of the color, we can see where the danger is, or we can see where we should pay attention to. So basically, what we have built here is another visual. I'm just going to leave that visual that way, right? If I want to style it, I can style the what's it called? I can style the matrix. I can style the matrix. Let's see. Let's see if we can get the good styling. Nope, this is terrible. Minimal. Okay, nothing really happening there. Contrast. Yes, can you see? But this is too much, right? So I'm just going to stick with default, which is really cool, right? Really cool. Are you following? So this is matrix. This is a matrix. Are you following? This is a matrix. So if you look at it, if I zoom out a little bit, you see that my visual is forming gradually, right? Now, if you look at it, I'm reserving the top part for some analysis. I'll show you. There's a reason why I'm reserving the top, right? Let me move this guy up a little bit so that we can have enough space. Right, there's a reason why I'm reserving the top. Usually, I use the top for filters, right? The top, I use the top for filters, and of course, logos and all of that, filters, and general components that would affect all the visuals, right? So let's look at one of them. Let's look at one of them so that you understand what I'm talking about. Please let me know if you are following me. So if you look at it, we have looked at how to use bar charts. We have looked at how to use column charts. We have looked at how to use matrix, right? We have looked at how to use matrix. If you look at it, all of this still falls around the border of categorical data. Of course, this data is a categorical data, right? There's no the possibility of doing a quantitative analysis in this data would be is very minimal, because the data is basically about a product. It's basically about descriptive data. So the data we're going to be doing, or what we're going to be doing, would be majorly categorical analysis, right? Let's see if we can bring in, let me bring in another matrix. Let's see if we can do some level of pie charts, all right? So you can do a level of pie charts. Now, the reason why I'm not explaining these charts is that because I know we all know what these charts are, and you can see their visual representations here. So it's just knowing how to implement them in Power BI that is really important. So I want to see total returns. Let's put that in value. Total returns by category, by product category. All right, can you see? So what I have there is my what? Is my total returns by product category. Total returns by product category. Are you following me? So this is the what? This is the matrix for the data, right? But I want to what? I want to see what will be the best visual to present this, right? If we use this, the stack chart is still good. If we use the column chart, also still very good, right? Can you see? Ordered neatly and nicely. Can you see? This is also really good. Clustered bar chart is also good for it, right? Can you see? Clustered column chart is as well not bad, right? This is not telling us anything. Let's see as well this, right? Well, let's try bar charts this time. Pie chart, sorry. Can you see? Pie charts. Now, pie chart tells us that, okay, this analysis that you see is about the total returns based on what? Category name, right? Total returns based on what? Based on category, right? I can decide to say, okay, let's use a donut chart to see if we can bring it out in a more yes, right? So pie chart and donut chart basically are the same thing. It's just the representation that is a bit different, right? You can switch between pie chart and donut chart. Donut chart has an OLO in between it, right? So let's see, we can format this. So we'll put our cursor on it, right? You can see it tells us that the total returns is about 61.64% for accessories, right? Which is the highest compared to for clothing, which is about 14.76, right? Compared to what you have in bikes, which is 23.6, right? So of all of them, right, remember that the total returns rate is still what, 2.7. So we're dividing that 2.17% to its proportions. That's what you have in this situation. So basically, we have more returns based on what? Based on the accessories, right? Let's see if we can style that chart a little bit different. Let's bring out legend. Can you see? So I have turned on the legend just from the visual, sorry, formatting. I turned on the legend, so it tells me that accessory is that and that. I can say detailed label. Can you see? I removed the detailed label. Since I have a legend, I cannot use both of them at the same time, right? It's either I'm using the detailed label or I am using what's the legend, right? So whichever one you want to use, you can watch. You can toggle on and off them, right? You can change your colors if you're not pleased with the colors that you have there. If you're not pleased with the colors, you can change your colors as well, right? Can you see? You can change your colors as well, right? You can change your colors as well. You can rotate your charts. Can you see? You can rotate your charts to fit your fancy as well. So basically, you can see for every single formatting that you do, you can always return or reset to default. Can you see the reset to default? Right? You can always reset to default, right? For each of the formatting that you've done, you can always reset to default, right? Let's see, there's something I'm looking for. All right. So that's basically what we have. That's basically what we have for that chart. All right, so that's basically what we have for pie charts. That's basically what we have for pie charts, right? So you can draw your pie charts anytime just using that same technique that I just taught you, right? So let me title that, take control of the title. Text color should be black. Text background should be this. Let's use a more deeper one. It's a bit lighter. Okay, let's make the text bold. Just increase it and center it. Right, so can you see? So this looks a bit cool now, right? We can also put a background to the chart itself if we want to. Background, right? We can put a background to the chart. We can give a background to the chart. Let's say, can you see? Can give the chart a background. Basically, like I said, you just have to be able to fiddle with the options that you have there and see how much of difference it gives to your analysis, right? So I just added a background to that chart, right, to make it look a little bit more presentable, right? You can do that from visuals, right? You can do that from visuals and all of that. We use a perfect symbol. Awesome, right? So if you look at it, we've been able to look at 4 different types of charts. We've looked at what's the column, the stacked bar chart, we've looked at the stacked column chart, we've looked at the pie chart and the donut charts, and we've looked at what's the matrix, right? We've looked at the matrix as well. We've looked at the matrix as well. So let's see if we can look at one or two more. All right, there's something that we were familiar with in Excel, that's in Power Pivots or pivot table, pivot table in Excel, right? Let's look at it. It's also present here. It's called the slicer. The slicer. Can you see the slicer? This is the icon of the slicer. It has some sort of funnel. I hope you can see it. It has a sort of funnel. It's usually beside the KPI. right? Usually decide the KPI and just before the table, the table visual, right? So you have the slicer. This is the slicer here, right? And we know that the slicer is a filter, right? I've taught us this as well in pivot table, right? The slicer is a filter. So basically, use this slicer to remember then it was slicer and timeline, right? Slicer and timeline. But what we have here, the slicer does exactly the same thing, right? So we can create a slicer. Let me create a slicer with country, right? Let me create a slicer with country. If I drag country, now if you look at it, this slicer only takes it takes one value in the field. It takes one value. It has only one field, right? Which is one value, right? So I'm going to put the countries there. So you can see it gives me my country in a drop down, in a button form, right? Let me reduce this so that you can see. So if I click on Australia, you see that it affects all the charts. Can you see? These are sales. These are the orders generated by only from Australia. I hope we can see everything, right? I'm trying to zoom. All right. So if you want to see Australia and Canada, right? You want to see Canada, you want to see France, right? But I don't really like this view, right? I want to see if we can change the view a little bit more. So it says that for us to be able to change the view, we go to the format, we go to the format settings, and we go to the style, right? So let's do that. So I'm going to come to my view here, my format, right? Slicer settings, right? So I don't want it as a vertical list like this. I want it as a, let's see, no, drop down, right? Yeah, it could be a drop down. Can you see? So you can use any of this as your what? As your style. You can use any of that as your style, right? But I'm not going to be creating my slicer on country. I want to create my slicer on date so that it looks like a timeline. So I'm going to remove country from there, and I'm going to bring the date function into that, right? So if you look at it, all the dates, let's go back to the style, right? Slicer now is, can you see? Now I have multiple options for dates. Before we had just 3 for country. Now we have multiple options here. This is the vertical list that we have like that for like what we had for country, right? But there's an option that is really beautiful, which is the between. So if you look at tile will be terrible. Can you see? You have a lot of dates. You cannot use style in that situation, right? You can use before. In particular dates is grayed out. Can you see before? So you can only go down and up. But I want to use the between. The between. Can you remember that the timeline in Excel looks exactly like this, right? So you can what? You can do your analysis and say, I want to know this total orders between a particular date and a particular date, right? Can you see? You can use your order to do that. You can use that to do that, to know between a particular date and a particular date. So basically, that is what we have for timeline. So we're going to add this timeline. Let's just style it a little bit. So we're using between slider. Let's give our slider a bit of color, right? Okay. There's values. Okay, the values are fine. Let's go to general. We don't need the title because we know that. Yep, we don't need title. Let's give it a background as well. Let's give it a cool background. No, let's remove the background so that we can. All right, I think our slicer is fine. So I'll bring my slicer up here now. All right, so there I have my slicer. don't like this color. You see, so you can format your slicer format your component to fit or to suit you. Let me restore this back to default settings. Right, that's perfect. Right, so that is my slicer. That is my slicer. One more thing. Let me see if I can. Slicer header, yes. So we know it is date, so we don't need the slicer header, right? So this is a slicer. So now we have a slicer in the analysis. We have a slicer in the analysis. Can you see? All right. So with this slicer now, I can what? I can drag down to a particular date to see. Can you see it has affected the analysis, and you can do anything with that as well. Please let me know if you're following me. I hope this is not too hard for us to comprehend. Please let me know if you're following me. I can't hear from any. I'm not hearing from anybody. Let me know if you're following me. Awesome. Are these things hard?
With you, I think for me it is that I think that when I'm on my own, I'll be able to repeat these things.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. You'll be able to repeat them because it's no technical. There's really no technicality to it. That's let me say it that way. There's really no technicality to it, right? Where the technicality basically is in the calculated columns and measures, right? Every other thing in terms of the visualization, you can really copy what somebody else has done and just do it, and just they're already preset there. Just fiddle with it, and you get the appropriate visual that suits your fancy. It's as simple as that. There is really no technicality to it, right? And the only thing is you just need to be able to know how to use some of these visuals, because some of them are not common. Like the next one we want to talk about, right? It's not common, right? But I'm going to show you, right? The next one we want to talk about, right, is the cards. The cards. We want to talk about cards. Cards and KPI, right? There are three of them. This is a card. Can you see? This where you see 1, 2, 3 on or done. Undo. All right. So you see the mistake I just made there. I don't want you to make that mistake. When you are done with the visual, what do? You just click out of the visual so that when you are choosing the next visual, it does not affect the visual that you have just worked on, right? So that you don't overwrite a particular visual that you have. You get, so that you don't overwrite a particular visual. I'm coming. I'm trying to send something backward. Nice. Okay. All right. So we want to talk about cards. Cards basically are used to give you informations, right? Cards basically are information tiles. They are information tiles, right? If I click on card, take for example, right? If I click on this card and I come here, let's bring it here. I can say I want to see the total returns. Can you see? I can see total returns. or basically I want to see all returns. Can you see? I can see total returns. I can see all returns from that data, right? I can see total returns. This is a card, basically, just straight out like that, nothing else except for formatting it, right? This is a card. So you can use this card to say more, right? Take, for example, you want to see, let me choose another card, right? You want to see the total revenue generated, right? So we go to the sales table, right, and say, show us total revenue generated, right? Total revenue generated. Can you see? So this is another card, basically. This is another card. Right. So basically that is all right. So basically these are just cards, right? These basically are just cards that you have, right? These are cards that just gives information right out of the bat, right? These are cards, right? Basically, nothing special,
Mr. Shem,
nothing more. Yes, ma.
can we use one card for multiple
values, right?
questions?
Yes, there's a card for that. I'll show you now. That's a beautiful question. There's a card for that, right? This next card that you have here, can you see multi-row cards, right? You click on it. Hold on, sorry. Right, multi-row cards. This is a multi-row card. Right, so this card now, I can say, I want to see the total profits. I want to see the total profits. I want to see total costs. Can you see? Total costs, total profits, and so on and so forth. Can you see? So it presents your data to you in form of rows, right? It presents your data in form of rows. You get to year to date revenue. Can you see? So you can do all of that. So that's in dollars as well. So that's basically your multi-row cards, right? Your multi-row cards. So there's multi-row cards. Are we following me? Right. So that's multi-row cards. Simply put, multi-row cards, right? So it's as simple as that, right? You can just align it with. If you want to style it, you can style it. There are several options to styling it as well. You can style it. You can give a background. You can make the text all right, so you can leave your card this way. Can you see? So that's a multi-row card. That's a multi-row card. You can fill these cards as well with your style. basically just styling your card generally. No other stress. You can style them. And simply just style them. Chicory label. Properties. Title. If you want your title on, right? If there's a title you want to give to it, basically, you just style it. All of these are just basically effects that you can put on to make it look more appropriate, right? Basically. All right. Can tint that out a little bit. If you want to. So basically, really nothing special about all of this. You can just do the same as well. You will see that there is really nothing special to it, right? I'm moving to KPIs now. Key performance indicator. That's what KPI means. Key performance indicator. There's a card for it that shows performance in the data. That shows performance in data. Sorry, I wasn't activated. I was stressing myself. All right, so it's the same thing, right? You can see same thing as cards. Right. So these are everything for cards, nothing special here anymore. Right. So these are your cards, basically. So if you look at it, you see that our analysis is coming together. This is our dashboard. Can you see? It's coming together gradually. It's coming together gradually. Right. So it's telling us about sales and orders. Basically, that's what you have, right? Coming together gradually, right? So we want to look at KPIs. KPI is the third one. Can you see? Is the third card that has the up and down arrow, the green and red arrow, right? KPIs show numbers and trends, right? KPIs help us show trend in our data. It shows the number and it shows the trend in the data. Let me show you what I mean, right? If I click on KPI card, right? The KPI card requires three values, right? It requires three fields. You have the value, you have the trend, and you have the target, right? You have the value, you have the trend, and you have the target. So we use KPI to check for performance, right? For those who have worked in the corporate organization before, you see that maybe as a salesperson, you have a target, right? So that target, now we want to measure your performance with that target, right? Yours is your performance. You are given a target to make 50 million in a month. You made 38 million, right? You want to be able to measure and show it in a visual way if you met your target or not. Basically, that's what KPI cards are meant for, right? So let's give an example. We want to be able to see what is the total revenue, right? So I'm going to let's jump right to it, right? Let's jump right to it. So I want to see a total revenue based on our last month, based on what is the total revenue for this month, based on the previous month, right? So I'm going to drag total revenue to values. Now, if you look at it, nothing showed up, right? And that's because KPI is expecting for what? It's expecting a trend axis, right? This axis here is expecting a trend axis that tells us what is the period for this analysis. What period are you checking? What period are you using to do this analysis? So you want to see a total revenue for which period? Is it for the last month? Is it for the last year? Is it for the last quarter? Is it for this present quarter? So basically, right? So that is what it is expecting. So I'm going to go into my calendar. Remember that we're saying that when you're looking at KPI is basically saying that what is your performance? What are you measuring your performance against? Target of last month, or target of this month against what? What are you benchmarking it against, right? So I'm going to go into this and I'm going to, let's use start of the month, drag start of the month to that axis. Right, can you see? So basically, what is it telling us? It's telling us that what our sales target, right, or our sales for last month, I mean, for this month is what? Our sales for this month is 1.8 what? Is 1.8 million, right? Let me show you what I mean. Let's quickly do a matrix for that. Let's do a matrix for that so that you see what we're talking about. I want to show you this analysis that we're using that we're using a KPI for. I want to show you in form of a matrix, right? So we say total revenue to values based on start of the month. Where is it? Start of the month. Rows. Right? All right. So if you look at it, our last value for the last, can you see last of the, let me show you. I hope you can see it. Let me zoom this out. Right? Look at it. Our last value is what? Is 1.82693. That's approximately 1.83 million. Approximately, can you see? 1.8 million. That's for our last what? Our last value, right? Our last total revenue for that month, for the present month. Total revenue for the present month is 1.8 what? 3, right? 1.83 million, basically. So you can see if we remove, if you want to know for year, what we just need to do is what? Is remove start of the month, right? And add the year, basically. All right? Start of the month and add the year. Sorry, let's do the same for start of the year. Can you see? So you can see the trend. Can you see that it draws like a background chart and tells us that our value went way up, right? Went way up. But we look at it, it went up, then it is coming down a little bit. Can you see? And if you look at our value, in 2016, we made 9.3 million. But now in this 2017, we're what? We're at 9.1 million, right? This is the peak of it, and our value is coming down. So you can see that there's a trend to that data. Basically, that's what the KPI does for us, right? That's what the KPI shows. So I'm going to revert back to start of the month. All right. So now it's now asking, can we measure it against a target, right? You see, we have a target, we have a target value. Can we measure it against the target? Yes, I have a target here that says that previous month revenue. Can you see previous month revenue? So if I bring previous month revenue to the target, I'm saying that did we perform better than the previous month revenue? Right? What revenue did we make last month? We have to be able to do better than that this month, right? So did we do better than that? Our target for this month is the revenue from last month. Let me remove this. So if we let's draw that analysis again, sorry, so that I can show you exactly what we're talking about. So total revenue and start of the month. Right? If you look at it, our goal is what? 1.77, right? Which is what we have here, 1.77 forward for May 2017. May 2017, we did what? 1.77, right? That now becomes the target for next month, which means that our target is to be able to do that value or more, right? And what did we do? We did an extra what? 3.3% increase. Right? We did an extra 3.3% increase, which is a good value. That's why you see it is what is in green form, and it's telling us that what we're doing work. It ticks it and says that target met. So in this situation now, If it is for a company, right, and this is for a center or for a branch, right, what it means is that with this kind of visuals, the management knows that whatever entitlement is owed to the people who are working, if they are to get a bonus or something, right, this month they are supposed to get their bonus because they met their targets. Are you following me? Target is what? Target is met, right? Let's draw another KPI. Let me bring this here so that you can use it much later. Right? Want to know the same for others. Want to know the same KPI for others.
Mr. Shem,
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am.
Please admit Viola to the class. He just wrote that he wants to be admitted. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. So if I want to do for orders again, let me go to total orders. Right. So we used total revenue before. This time around, we're saying total orders. So put total orders in my value. Right. Nothing is done yet. I want to know the total orders for the start of the month. So I put total orders. So it tells us that our order was, this is our total order for the month, 2,164 orders were processed this month. The question is, did we do better last month, right? Did we do better last month? So what's our target? So we bring previous month order into the target, right? Can you see? Previous month order. We did not what? Hit the target. Can you see? We did not hit the target, even though we did more revenue last month. I hope you are seeing business angle to all of this, right? Even though we did not hit the revenue last month, I mean, even though we surpassed the revenue from last month, right? We did not hit. Look at it. We surpassed the revenue for last month by 3.31%, right? But for let me remove this. Let me remove this. Let me put total order. Look at it. Look at the orders. All right. If you look at it now, last month we did 2.165. This month we did 2.164. So you can see that there is a what? There is a 0 minus 0.88 what drop in the orders, right? There's a yes, ma'am.
Are you dragging from the data side to this visualization side? I didn't get that place very well.
No. I'm dragging from when I drag from this side to the fields here. These fields here are what's controlling what I see. Yes.
Okay.
It's the same. See, these fields here are the same fields that you have in that in our pivot table environment. Remember that's four panes that you have in pivot table environment: the values, the rows, the columns, and the legend. Right? It's the same thing that you have here, right? It's the same, exactly. Okay. So we're not doing anything. We're not doing anything special.
Okay.
If you know how to use Power Pivot, you'll be able to use this very well. So that's what we're just doing. All right. So if you look at it, I'm just trying to show you what the analysis is saying. Just trying to show what the data is saying. Right. So you can see. So you can see that that's why there's what. So that's why this is what. This is the drop. There's a drop in that what in that value. We can also do one more card for returns. Let's do. Please help me mute your mic. All right, one more card for returns. Yola in now. Hey. Who is sleeping? All right. So I want to do one more analysis for cards, and this time around it is total what? Total returns. Let's go to the return table. Total returns to values, right? Nothing show forward, but want to see what is the total return forward for last month, or want to compare for the month, right? Start of month, right? So we have total returns for this month to be 166, right? So what is the previous month return? Let's see. Previous month return is 169. Right? If previous month is 169, can you see? It means that we are doing better, even though it's telling us that what there is even though it is telling us that we are in short of we are doing bad, but in the actual sense, we have to be able to understand the values. Last month, 169 items were returned. This month, 166 were returned. So it means we did better, right? But it means the analysis is not telling us. So we have to be able to fix that. We have to be able to fix that. There's a way to do that. Yes. So you come to your trend and trend axis in your format visual. In your visual, you come to trend axis, and you're going to say, you see direction. High is good, low is good. So I'm going to change that to low is good, right? Then it becomes what? Can you see? It means that we are what? We are 1%, 1.7% better than last month, right? So this tells us a major impact, or gives us a major insight into our data, right? Gives us major insight into our data. Can you see? So what do we have? We have all of this. Let me reset these guys. Right? So we're building visuals already. Can you see? This is a dashboard. So what it means is that if you click on any of these dashboards, what do you have? You would see a proper business workflow, right? You see a proper explanation workflow, or a proper storytelling being powered by your data. So if you want to see, and you click on that, you see that it affects all the values all at once. Can you see? Right? If you want to see by time, right? Can you see? So that is how to use these analysis. Does that make sense? I hope we are following. I hope we are following. I hope we are following.
Yes.
Talk to me. Awesome.
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Right? So let's look at, I'm going to move into another page, so I can show us maps, right? So I can show us maps, right? We want to be able to visualize our data on the map, right? We want to be able to visualize our data on the map. How do we do that, right? So if you look at it, our data as what? When you want to visualize data on the map, right? What you're looking for is that you want to check if let's click on any of the map, right? We have about 2 maps here, right? There are actually 3 of them: Azure map, field map, and the map, right? Azure map needs it has to connect to Microsoft Azure, right? So we're not going to be using that. We're going to be using these 2 maps, map and field map. So I'm going to click on map. Now, so when you look at it, what is the map looking for? It's looking for location. Either your data has location component, it has the legend component, it has the longitude and latitude component, and so on and so forth, right? So for you to be able to use map in your data, you either have longitude and latitude, or you have country data, you have continent data, and so on and so forth, right? So in this situation, we know that we have the territory data that contains countries. Are you following me? The territory data that contains countries. So if I drag this into, now I'm going to drag it into my bubble size, right? Now look at it. Of course, I can't put it into locations. Or let's drag it in locations. Let's see. Right. Let me expand this a little bit so that you can see our map in full. All right. So you can see these are all the regions that we have where our orders are coming from. Can you see the regions where the orders are coming from is what you have there. Let me bring in my slicer so that you can see. Undo, sorry. All right, so I'm going to bring in my slicer in. I'm going to use continents in my slicer. Right, so I can see all the continents that are present. Style, sorry. All right, so these are my slicers for continents. Right, so if you look at it, I can from here look at Europe. Can you see it goes to Europe? Can you see? Can you see our map is going in, but it's not telling us nothing much at the moment. To go to North America, can you see? I hope you are seeing my screen. Right, you go to the Pacific, that's Australia. You can see. So you can see, you can zoom in into any region to be able to see what is happening in that region and see where your sales is coming from or where your data is coming from. Right, can you see? You can see. So from there, from North America, we know that what our sales come from what? From the US and from Canada. We go to Europe. To Europe, what do we have? We have United Kingdom, we have France, we have Germany. Right, we have Germany, and which other region do we have there? Yeah, just those three regions in that area. So you can see how we are using the how I'm using the slicer and the map to visualize my data. Right, so what I can do now is to drag my country into bubbles. Sorry, my sales value. I can say total revenue into bubble size. Right, can you see? Total revenue now is inside of bubble size. Can you see? Total revenue is in bubble size. So you can see that what happens, you can see the effect of how much volume is coming from each region. Can you see? So from United Kingdom, we have what? We have 2.9 million revenue coming from there, compared to what we have in Germany, which is 2.5, compared to France, where we have 2.3, right? That's for Europe, right? Europe. Then we have for Canada, right? 1.7 is coming from there, compared to United States, where you have 7.9. So if we go to the Pacific, right? What do we see? We have what we have is 7.7 coming from that region. So if we select everything, right, we'll be able to see all of them at once, right? So I can now go into my tooltip, right? I can add more information to my tooltip. I want to know the total order coming from each of the states or from each of the regions. So if you put your cursor on any of them, can you see I have total orders now as part of the data there, right? If I want to know the total returns from each of those regions as well, I can add that also to my tooltip, right? So if I put that information there, so I can see on a single glance the country, the total revenue, the total order, and the total returns from that tooltip. Are you following me? Right? Are you following me? So there's more to this analysis, right? There's a whole lot of analysis that can be done in all of this, right? So this is how to use the map. There's another type of the map, which is called the field map. I'm just going to select that to see what that gives us, the field map. All right, so this is how the field map looks like, right? It does not use the bubbles. If you look at it, the bubbles is gone. What you have is the country and basically longitude and latitude, right? So you can see each of what is coming from each of the regions. Can you see? Australia, America, and Europe. Can you see? So basically, you can use any of these maps. You can use any of these maps based on how you want to see your data. Questions, please. Questions. If you have any question, please let me know. If you have any question, ask me now.
Mr. Shem?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. My question is, we have been dealing with sales and other on the tables. Can we use this power pivot to analyze an educational sectors?
Yes, of course, right? You can use this. All of this can work for any kind of data, right? Educational data, sales data, any kind of data, right? You can do all of this analysis. All this kind of
if you want to do
analysis.
that, how can
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Talk to me. Hello. Elijah, I can't hear you.
hello, sir? It's the
Yes, I can hear you now.
network. I
Okay.
said if we can use it in education sector, what are the details that we need to use to gather the information together?
So basically, for your educational sector, right, it would be, it depends on what, what is it?
Have no, nothing.
Right. What you have in the educational sector, if you're talking about, let me give an example. Maybe a school, right? You want to be able to know, so basically you want to be able to collect data the same way these kinds of data that we're using are collected. You want to know what is your, who are your teachers? Maybe there's a data about teachers, there's a data about students, there's a data about class promotions, there's a data about performance, student performance, there's a data about what's it called? Sales in terms of how many registrations, how many children left the school, how many children, all of this per year, per quarter, how much did we generate? Is the number of how many, all of those kinds of data that you have that the business is all about, or that the business is about. That is what you want to do. That's what you want to keep, right? So if you have those kinds of data, right, then you'll be able to do this kind of analysis. It's as simple as that. Do you understand that? Elijah, can you hear me?
So the network is breaking. I can hear you now.
Right. So I was just talking about that what you have would be based on the data that is being generated, right? You want to be able to generate your data in such a way that you can use them to perform this kind of analysis. Well, it's possible, irrespective of if you have a pure water company, a bakery, an hospital, whatever it is, whatever kind of data it is, what kind of business that you have, you can do these kinds of analysis on them. Are you following? Any other question? Any other question? Hello, I'm waiting. Any other question before we move on? We'll be wrapping up very soon. We've tried already. We're wrapping up very soon. We're wrapping up very soon, very soon, very soon. Any other question? So, if there are no other questions, there are several other charts that we can look at. There's the line charts, right? There's the line charts. Let me show. There's the line charts in here as well that we can use to see what is happening in terms of total profit. You want to know your total profit across what? Across the week, right? Sales. Sorry, I'm looking for profits. All right, total profits. If I drag my total profit to values, right? If I drag my total profit to values, and I have my start of week. I want to see my profit per week. So I say start of week, I drag it to X variable. All right, so you can see this analysis that shows us you can see the analysis that says that this is how much we generate as the week proceeds. Right, we can even break this down by by category as well. Where's my category here? Product category. Come in. There are several types here of line charts. Several types of line charts, yes. So you can see based on what? Based on product category, you can see based on product. Basically, you can use any of your columns to perform analysis in this situation. So basically, that's what you have. So you have line charts. Line charts is also present there. We have scattered plots. Scattered plots is, we don't have the data for scattered plots, right? We can also look at tree map, right? Let's look at tree map before we wrap up. That will be the last chart we'll look at today, right? So we bring the training to a close, right? Tree map, I've told you before that tree map is an advanced or a more accommodating chart than pie charts, right? Basically, it's a categorical chart as well, same as pie charts, but it allows us to see more variables, right? It allows us to see more variables. So take, for example, if I come to total order, let me create a matrix, and I say total order, and I want to see my order by product subcategories, right? Sorry, there's a filter somewhere. All right. So this is my product total orders. I want to know total orders based on product subcategories. All right. This is my total order based on product subcategories. Right. So this kind of data, right? If I want to visualize it as a pie chart, it becomes too cumbersome. Can you see? There's a whole lot of data. There's a lot of the data is just cumbersome, right? It's a lot of hidden and unseen, not very detailed analysis there, right? So what option do we have when we have this sort of data or this sort of variable where we have multiple class of data inside of it, right? So it's better to, if you use a donut chart to be the same thing, so it's better to use a tree map, right? So tree map would give you a more better presentation of the data, showing each sector based on their size, right? Shows each sector, based on their size, basically. That is what it will show, right? To show each section or each sector based on their size. Right? Shows each section based on their size. So you can also label it. You can add your data label. Can you see? You can add the data labels on it and improve on your data label so that they can, can you see? So you can see more details about the data inside of that, right? So that is basically tree map. So tree map is a better alternative to pie chart and donut chart when the level or the class in the variable, when that data is more than 5, right? It's more than 5, right? Tree map is a better option. All right. So at the end of the day, right, what you will discover is that you are able to you should be able to, right, generate visuals that are simple and easy to understand as what we have here, right? Visuals that are simple and easy to understand, that can tell a full story about the data, that can tell us about the data, right? That can tell us everything that we need to know about the data. Total orders by category, total orders by subcategory, total products by order, and so on and so forth, right? So basically, you want to be able to see all of that, right? You want to be able to see all of that. So at the end of the day, right, your visuals are very, very important. They tell us, and they tell whoever is consuming the data everything they need to know about the data, right? They tell us everything that we need to know about the data. So it's very important for us to know how to draw these visuals. And I've always told you, there's nothing that you have taken away from this program. Know that let the data guide you. I've always said that. Let the data guide you. Let the data tell you how best it can be presented, right? Don't force your own visual ideas on the data, right? Let the data guide you. Of course, you can show your creativity in styling the charts and all that, right? Where your creativity comes into play. But in terms of the data itself, let the data guide you, right? Let the data guide you, right? So this is an example of a full-blown visual. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, sorry, what does sorry, that schema that you just showed us, what are we trying to look at with it? Like
tree map is the same thing. Tree map is the same thing as I've said it before. The tree map is the same thing as a pie chart, right? Except that you can see that this. Let me show you. Let's go back to let's click on it as a pie chart, right? If you look at it as a pie chart, still the same thing, right? It tells you the pie tells you the size of each segment, the size of the sectors in a pie tells you how much each segment in your data carries. The same thing that you have in the tree map, right? It's the same thing. It tells you the size of each of these squares. Now, so instead of using sectors now, right? We're using what? We're using squares. This size, can you see that this value, this tire and tubes has the biggest what? Has the biggest or forms the biggest what? Sector, the biggest segment in the data. That's why it has the biggest what? The biggest space compared to road bike, sorry, compared to helmet, and compared to what you have here, which is what? Which is bike stand. Bike stand is the smallest. Can you see? It's the smallest, so it has a smaller space compared to tube, tire and tube. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does. Thank you, sir. Well done.
Thank you, ma'am. So your visual, right, at the end of the day, should be able to tell us a story, right? So you can see from there now we have what we have. What we have is you can see the total order by what? By category, total order by subcategories. We can see the data that forms the product name by order and by return rate. We can see the monthly revenue. We can see the monthly order, and we can see the monthly what? Returns, right? We can see the top products and the top what? The top product by profit, the top product by order. Basically, what product do people order the most? What product is giving us the highest profit, right? And we can see by visual where the whole data is coming from, right? So you can see a whole lot of analysis that we have done, how to create weekly profit, how to create monthly profit, and so on and so forth, right? So there's a whole lot that we can do, right? This is Gauge. We're not able to talk about Gauge, and so on and so forth, right? So all of these are present and are what we can do with visualization. So the journey does not end. That's basically what I want to say to us. Finally, the journey does not end here. The journey does not end here, right? You have the data. You have the data. Please go through it, because I'm going to send us our capstone project. It's very, very important for us to be able to do the capstone project. Look at what you trim up here. Can you see trim up here? Right? Can you see this is the matrix here? These are donut charts here. So basically, really nothing special, right? Your matrix here. This is full name and total orders. So from here you can see who is your top customer, right? You can see that our top customer is Mr. Morris Sean, right? Customer order, he ordered 6 things, right? He has ordered what? 6. He has bought things from the store 6 times, right? Customer revenue, he has spent about $12,000 basically, right? So you can see from here you can see that there is really no difference between the amount of male and the order coming from female and male, right? It's very close, 50.0 to 49.3, right? So you can see that it's very close. And of course, we have some missing values there. People who did not fill the agenda, right? There are about 70 others like that. So you can see income, right? We have more average income people buying from the store than low income people and high income people, and of course the very high income people, right? Then we have more professionals, right, buying bikes and buying from the store than every other occupation. So basically, that's what I follow me. So you visualize your data the best way possible, right? So, hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can, sir.
So you visualize your
I
data
can hear you.
the very best. All right, you visualize your data the very best way possible, right? Any question as we come to the end of this training, right? The community still holds. Our WhatsApp group will stay available and will be available for a long time, so that we can communicate, we can collaborate on project and on our capstone project. So we're not what's that word now? We're not disbanding the WhatsApp group yet, right? In fact, the WhatsApp group is going to be here for a while, right? So you have to be able to engage. You can also reach out to me. You can reach out to the programs manager, And also, if you have informations, of course, we'll drop them. Also, we use that WhatsApp group as a communication channel. So please and please watch out for your capstone project so that we can get at it as soon as
What of
possible.
the videos,
Thank
sir?
you, thank you, thank you. Yes?
Revisit them. What of the
What is it?
videos? Can you revisit them?
Of course, the videos are always online. Yes, you can always visit the videos.
Alright.
The videos are online. They are available for you anytime, any day, right? They're available for you. So please and please, I encourage everybody to go through the videos, right? Go through them as much as possible, right? That is what will give you the confidence that you need, right? To be able to say that you have learned. Of course, you have learned a lot in this program, but I can bet with you, right? The best person will probably take 55% of all the things that I've said. But when you go over it again, then you can increase what you have taken to about 80%, 90%, and even 100% if possible. So, but you have to be able to go through the videos over and over and over again, right? Practice, practice, practice. So we have to capstone projects coming up that would help you practice. And after you have even done the capstone project, you still continue to practice and practice and practice. I would also share materials that we can use to further our learning on the WhatsApp group so just watch out for all of these things. Any question? Any question? Any question? I hope we enjoy the program. What is it, man?
The Git, sir.
Yes.
The Git, sir. Is it Git or the Git?
Yes, I would drop a material for Git. We could not. We've extended beyond time. I don't want. People are bored already, right? So I don't want to overextend it yet. So that is why. All right, that is why. So, but I'll send a material that you use to discuss that would use to learn Git, and of course, if possible, we'll talk about Git maybe in our physical classes some of this time, right? So that we can bring most people into Git, right? So don't worry, we'll find a way around. Well, I'll drop a material, I'll drop a video for Git for you, right? I have a video already on YouTube for Git that you can watch, but I also drop more materials on it so that you can use it to learn Git. It's very important. It's very important.
So what about our projects? Have you sent it to the mail? Because I have not seen mine.
No, I've not sent it. I'm still trying to put the words to it, right? Writing is a difficult part for me, right? I'm trying to put words to it. Well, I should be done this night so that you can get it tomorrow morning, if possible. You wake up to it, yes.
All right, sir. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the training. Please help us fill the feedback form if you have not filled it. It's very, very important. It helps us improve on how to deliver best, how to improve on our performance, and how to improve on the training. So please help us fill the feedback form. It's very important. Thank you. If you have any question, please, I know that some people are still a bit behind, right? So please, you can easily reach out to me, right? Tomorrow is a good time for me to be able to do some of these things, but it will be in the evening, right? So if you have questions, right, if you have, especially with connecting with working with either SQL or Power BI, right? If you are still having configuration issues, if you are still having whatever issues you're having, right, just reach out to me so we can find a way to fix it, right? So that you can have a smooth capstone project activity, right? Awesome. Any question? Any addition? Any? Any?
To ask if
Yes, ma'am. Talk to.
We have maybe when we are working on anything on our own, but that's what you have just said now that we should get across to you.
Yes. Now, it's not just getting across to me, right? Get across to people in class as well, right? In fact, I would prefer that we drop whatever question you have, drop it on the WhatsApp group. I think somebody did that during the week, and Madam Udwak, I think, was the one who replied, and I didn't have to and that's how to learn, right? I want us to be able to collaborate, right? Drop your questions, ask your questions in the group, on the group, so that if there is nobody now supplying, or maybe we are not getting it totally, or then I can come in and but let people try, let people say what they understand about the concept that you're trying to understand. Just learning from each other is very important. So drop your messages, the questions that you have, instead of even forwarding them to me, drop them on the group so that people can also answer and say, okay, I know this one, I can answer this one. And that helps everybody build confidence, right?
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So on behalf of myself, Avita Technologies, and everybody here, we say thank you for joining this program. I hope it was worthwhile. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned something. Right. Certificates will be issued after our capstone projects have been submitted and I've been able to go through it. All right. So please, I look forward to certifying everybody as people who have gone through data analysis training. Right. Once again, if you're interested in writing the Power BI exam, reach out to me. It's very important. What else do I want to say? Thank you. God bless you. Do have a wonderful evening. And watch out for more trainings that are coming. Right? I have more trainings coming. Right. So, and these trainings, I've told you, they're going to benefit you. The goal is to be able to take you from where you are to earning in dollars. All right. So watch out for more trainings. Education is the way to get into that place. Education knowledge is the way to get into that expected end. So watch out for more trainings from us. They are not going to stress you, and their aim is to make you better. Thank you for trusting us. God bless you. Do have a wonderful night. See you. Bye.
Thank
God
you, sir.
bless you too, sir.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful
Bye.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Project director, even though we haven't
Yes,
seen
so,
her,
Power
she's actually also fantastic. She did a good job during this program. We thank you very much. We have
Thank you so much.
learned again, and we hope that, like you said, we'll keep on learning and getting better.
Yes, ma.
Hello.
Thank you, ma. Thank you, ma.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma.
Well done, sir. It's a privilege to have you as our teacher, sir.
Thank you, ma.
Great
Thank you, ma.
privilege. Thank you so much.
I'm honored.
Well done, sir.
I'm honored. Thank you, ma.
Well done.
Good night, ma. See you on
Have a
Tuesday.
wonderful night, Teresa.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
All
You
sir.
right.
too.
You too. Good night, everyone.
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
ma.
Thank you, sir. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.